I don't remember how and when, but I did find one interesting manga. I find it interesting because it has Turkish characters, names, money, and I really like Turkish culture. It started very calmly, but OMG, at the 3 page I understand that this is yaoi hentai manga. I quit reading this, but it already traumatized me. It became my problem and I decided to share this problem with you. Ahahaha. Okay, so we have two main characters. One, it's Meat. It's poor 18 years old guy who's working as a cashier. Before that he was working as a hem prostitute. He has a lot debts, and because of them he is kidnapped by the second main character, Meat Karam. He's such an asshole. Number 2. Why not number 1? You will see later. He kidnapped Meat and then used his body without consent and in front of the camera. Yes, their boss makes these kinds of films. After they done, Karam keep using Meat just for fun. Whoa. Later, he takes Meat home and talks to him as if they were in a normal situation. The main character has a huge debt, and because of this, he'll have to make another film. Meat tells him to go to hell because he doesn't want to return to that industry. I was very proud of him, but the pride didn't last long. It turns out Meat is a masochist at home. He tries to recreate what was done to him in the studio, but he can't. A couple of days later, Karam returns, late as always. He says the film made a lot of money, so his debt is covered. Hooray! Karam was about to leave, but Meat gave himself away, revealing that he actually enjoyed what happened. Karam knew this would happen and brought toys with him. Then follows a god-awful scene of touching body process, and know what I mean, during which Meat agrees to become a toy for Karam's pleasure. In the end, he drank the urine. Yes, that's the end of the first part, and I need to clarify something here. I hate this yaoi theme. This fetishization and sexualization is disgusting. I don't understand people who read this or fap at this. Maybe it's because I'm just an asexual girl who hate violence. Part 2. I'll summarize all the parts without horny scary moments. The second part involves the heroes having trouble keeping their organs in their pants, so Karam disappears for 3 months, after first putting a device on Meta that prevents him from producing milk. They go on a date, which feels more like torture for Meat and ends with some spicy scenes in the toilet. Key moments. 1. Meat drinks urine and takes a dip in the toilet. 2. We see Musk in the background. 3. We learn that Meat is very poor, and Karam learns this too. Karam also begins to treat Meat more kindly, and if he lives with him, it's the end. The third part. It starts off very calmly. I started reading with this one, so I thought it was a slice of life manga. Then, while working as a cashier on the night shift, Meat meets his teacher, who quickly starts making fun of him. Karam interrupts them, and instead of defending him, he brings the teacher to Meat's house. A threesome ensues. In this part, we learn that the groomer teacher used Meat, which led to him selling himself and his parents kicking him out. The teacher's name is Shonen, and he is the main asshole in the manga, but he shares that spot with another character. At the end, the teacher says Meat's life is miserable. For the first time, Karam reveals the truth. The teacher is a hypocrite, a PDF, and unhappy. He has no right to teach them about life. The teacher leaves. In the end, Meat and Karam share a cozy meal. Part 4. I found it emotionally difficult to read. Okay, so a new character appears, Kenan's brother, Ismail. It turns out their father is the boss of the Turkish mafia. Karam was better than his brother in everything. He was smart, he had a big penis, and his father wanted to give him his position. But Karam refused. And Karam also slept with Ismail's girlfriend. To get revenge, Ismail kidnapped Meat and hired people to collectively commit terrible acts. Wow, I hope you understand what actions I'm talking about. Of course, Karam is announced. This super genius allows Ismail to slap him on the face and simply waits until the people who are tormenting Meat get tired. After that, he fights back against his brother and takes Meat away. Ismail is left alone with these men. Part 5. Meat wakes up in the bathroom and says he's still horny, so he asks Karam to help him relax. Karam accidentally almost unalived him. Meat wakes up again, this time in Karam's bed. This time, Karam, realizing his mistakes, begins to treat Meat gently. This surprises Meat, and he starts to cry. He's afraid of being treated well, he doesn't know what to do. Karam calms him down and suggests going to a psychologist and breaking up. They have their first normal conversation. They understand that they are both freaks, they are comfortable with each other, and they will continue their relationship. In the end, they went to a psychologist. This is a terrifying comfort built on pain and unhealthy attachment. Was this complete degradation? At this point, I would like to do a brief character analysis, mainly of Meat, as he is the main character. Since school, he realized he was no good for anything. He had no friends or particular interests. He was very thin, and this thinness never went away, and even into adulthood, he was always poor and penniless. This was the period when he was first subjected to SA. It was horrific, but he was paid, treated, and encouraged in every way. He began providing his services to students and later became an official prostitute. When his parents found out, they kicked him out of the house. This was the most difficult period in Meat's life, the peak of his degradation. He was a worthless, dirty, spoiled man with no future. It's important to note that he already had low self-esteem. He considered any bad treatment to be normal. When he was expelled, he lived for a couple of months with his teacher, the man who had ruined his life. Then he left and started his life anew. He got a job as a cashier and began renting an apartment. He still had debts, and to force him to pay them off, Karam kidnaps him. It was after meeting him that he realized he was a masochist. And yes, after what Karam, Ismail, Sinan did to him, he forgives them and, on the contrary, considers himself guilty and asks for forgiveness. This is disgusting. He is ready to forgive everyone for nothing or even for a can of beer. It seems to me that Meat suffers from hypersexuality. I could be wrong, but he himself has said several times that he wakes up only for this and that all his thoughts are about this, and he is ready to do anything for this. You can say he's just a pervert. But I disagree. It's possible that this is a psychological response to violence. Very often, victims of violence, particularly those who experience this in early childhood, may find comfort in this violence and attempt to relieve it. This can also be a form of SH. Among such characters, I can remember Denji from Chainsaw and Angel Dust from Hotel. Here it is not pleasure but a way to self-destruct, to fall far into the abyss so as not to feel anything. It would seem that Karam's arrival would make things worse, but it's he who pulls Meat out of her misery. But why? Karam is the son of a wealthy mafia boss. He can and does whatever he wants. Unlike Meat, he's a sadist. He enjoys crushing, breaking, and humiliating people, and he loves himself very much. He's hardly like Meat. The main reason for his interest is that the protagonist is invulnerable. Karam had many partners, and none of them could tolerate his cruelty, and he himself had a nasty temper. He loved to push people to their limits. But I repeat, no matter how badly you treat Meat, it's normal for him. He thinks he deserves everything bad. That's why Karam was stuck in this relationship. He tested it, he pressed it, he tried to break it, bringing it to a boiling point, but this point literally did not exist. And then, when Karam almost lost Meat, he realized he was actually worried about him. He'd simply grown accustomed to him and was genuinely interested in him. He wouldn't want to be someone who accidentally take his life for the sake of adrenaline and fleeting euphoria. They also have one thing in common. They have no goals. They're comfortable as they are. They don't have particularly strong connections or interests. They just want to live and enjoy simple things, be it intim or food. However, their relationship is still very toxic and terrible. But without Karam, Meat would never have gone to therapy or realized he needed to change. He needed someone who could see the situation from an outside perspective. Karam, unlike Meat, saw a normal life. Initially, he only brought pain and suffering for fun. But now, maybe this relationship will bring them happiness and healing, maybe happy memories will be created, maybe everything will be okay, maybe it wasn't a complete degradation. But this is all just my opinion and observation. The author himself doesn't take his work seriously, and all these supposedly important points may not have been so important. Maybe this is simply part of the author's and his fans' fetishes. The author also compared himself to Studio Ghibli. Like, he's also showing a piece of his culture through his work. Through hentai manga. There were some Turkish-related moments, though, which made me feel uncomfortable. It's a very strange feeling when something so foreign but familiar is presented in such a light. For example, my favorite food. And meat's build is very similar to mine, I'm just a little smaller. I'm really glad they decided to fatten him up in the end. That's all for now. In conclusion, I can only add, it's no surprise that yaoi material is banned in my home country LOL. The deputies must have read something like that. Bye, my dear angel lumps. Stay indoors, don't touch grass, drink water, and breathe.